Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jump, and today I'll be doing my top 5 favourite Legend of Zelda dungeons. Now, with the Zelda series, I think one of the most recognisable things that come out of them are the dungeons, and each one has their own unique ways of exploration and how you tackle each one. And I do like how each one has their own unique style to them and their own unique way of progressing the story in some way. So yeah, and today I'll be going over some of my favorites in from the series. So for number 5 is the Spirit Temple from Ocarina of Time. Now, I think this is a very interesting way of doing a dungeon because this is a dungeon in terms of Ocarina of Time where the only time where you can travel between the past and the future. So in the sense that you can play as both child Link and adult Link, and you start off as child Link in the first half, then in the second half you go and become adult Link, and that's a really interesting concept for a dungeon where how the past kind of changes the future almost in sort of sense. So like kind of like how in when you get the Song of Storms, when you're adult Link, but then you go back in time and learn it or teach it to the guy who taught it to you. So it's kind of like the bootstrap paradox sort of thing. So like, who actually created the Song of Storms? Was it the guy who taught it to you, or was it Link? So it's one of those sort of things. And I do like how when it comes to the boss, it uses like the power. I think it's Twin Rover, I believe, and how they use both the power of ice and fire, and you can use the mirror shield you can get in the dungeon to sort of deflect the attacks back of the opposing elements. And I do like how around the halfway spot point thing, they sort of merge together and become one. And it's more of which attack are they going to do? Are they going to do fire, fire, ice, or ice, ice, fire, or fire, 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 or ice, ice, ice? It's one of those things. So I think it's a really cool boss fight. For number 4 is the sand ship from Skyward Sword. Now, what I like about this one is that it's kind of similar to the Spirit Temple from Ocarina of Time in the sense that you have to change it from past and future. So in the future, it's all old and decayed, whilst in the past, it's all futuristic and stuff like that. So it kind of takes some of the elements from the Spirit Temple in Ocarina of Time, but kind of flip it almost. And I do like that concept of just trying to get through from one part to the next and trying to like flip between the past and the future. And it's a really cool way. And I do like how it's just how it's this giant pirate ship. And I do like how when you get the item of this game, or not the game, how you get the item of the dungeon, the bow, you have to do this almost walk the plank duel, almost, where you have to fight the robot captain who took it over. So that's really cool. And I do like how for every phase, the barrier gets closer and closer, kind of like you having to walk the plank, kind of like in pirate stuff, like shows, movies, that sort of thing. And the boss is, in terms of, in concept and how it acts within the dungeon, it's an okay boss. But overall, Tentless isn't the best when it comes to bosses and stuff like that. It's not my personal favourite, just could have been a whole lot more better. But the sand ship as a whole is an interesting ship, and ship and dungeon, and and I do like how it has the Neru's flame. So yeah, it's also a part to continuing the story. For number 3 is Vanabros. Now, Vanabros is probably my favorite divine beast out of the divine beasts, or one of my favorites. And what I like about this particular dungeon is that it uses the flow of electricity and how you have to like kind of use the electricity to like move certain parts of the dungeon. So I believe you have to move like one part to get up to the top to activate like I think one or two terminals. And I do like how I do really like the boss in this particular dungeon, that being Thunderblade Ganon, because it's the only boss that actually poses a challenge to you, because it's the smallest boss in terms of how it looks like, and it's also the fastest. So that means it can do at least a few hits on you. It can also take you by surprise. So yeah, that boss is particularly fun, and it took me by surprise when I first fought Thunderblade Ganon. And I do like how it's basically the design of it is basically this giant camel, and yeah, and it's a really fun way of just when it comes to like the electricity based puzzles, just figuring out, okay, I need this particular part over here, but I need to charge up uh, another part to get to another terminal and stuff like that. And it's just a really fun dungeon, and it's a nice, fun challenge. So yeah. For number 2 is the Tower of Spirits from Spirit Tracks. Now, with the Tower of Spirits, I think I really do enjoy this dungeon, mainly because of the way that each time you continue, the puzzles get harder and harder, and when it comes to the and this is like the second DS game, and this is another main dungeon you come back to time and time and again. It's kind of similar to how in Phantom Hourglass, you go back to the Temple of the Ocean King time and time again. But I prefer the Tower of Spirits, mainly because you don't have to redo the same puzzles over and over again. You might have to do it if you want to collect some chests you might not have been able to in some of the floors, but not every. You don't have to do the same puzzles over and over again. You continue and just do new puzzles, see new phantoms, and I think there's another thing that I do like. There's actually more new phantoms instead of just being 2 or 3 phantoms, and that's it. I don't remember a whole. I think one of the phantoms in Phantom Hourglass, besides the regular one, are the ones that go fast. And remember all the ones in Spirit Tracks, there being the regular one, the one that can teleport, the one that can turn into a boulder, the one that can teleport, that sort of thing. And I do really enjoy the Tower of Spirits, and I do like how the more you ascend, the more of a choiry vocal music you hear in the background. So that's really cool. And kind of wish that kind of helped in. I kind of wish something was like that in Phantom Hourglass, where maybe you heard some like demonic, but not too demonic, just like some sort of like dark music. And so it's in the sense that the more you're going down, the more ominous it was for Phantom Hourglass. So yeah, so overall I prefer the Tower of Spirits. And for number 1 is the Wind Temple from Tears of the Kingdom. Now with the Wind Temple, I do enjoy what I do enjoy about this dungeon is the way you get to it, as well as the dungeon itself. So the way you get to it is that you go on these sort of floating ship things, and they all have jumping. You can basically jump on them. That's what I'm trying to get with this, and you have to basically just go around this giant wind barrier thing and get into the dungeon itself. And I do like how you just dive into the wind barrier, or the barrier thing, and I do like how you have to like, it's basically just use like the things around you, so like the ice spectacles, well no, the ice glaciers stuff, and try and use like all like the wind and stuff around you, and mainly as well as the boss. I think that's what I'm trying to get with this. As well as the boss, I do like the boss of the Wind Temple. But overall, I think it's a nice way of. I think it's also a good introductory dungeon as well. Maybe if you did choose the Wind Temple as the first temple of the game, it's a nice way of showing like how the game might work in certain elements, like mainly in the sky, as well as like the free diving elements as well. And I do like Tulin's ability and of how it helps you with this dungeon, in the sense that there are some parts you can't really get across with just gliding alone. You will have to use Tulin's ability just to push you towards the end and stuff like that. And with the boss, Kogera, I really enjoy it. I think that's, as a boss, it's a really fun way of just using the sort of like the wind and the sky and everything around you just so you can just try and hit Kogera's weaknesses and stuff like that. And I do like how with Kogera, there are two ways to fight it. The one way, that being the way of diving into its weaknesses after it's used its icicle attack, and the other way, which is the bow and arrow way, which I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know until it was pointed to me, like, oh, you can hit Kogera with arrows. It's like, oh, that's an interesting way of fighting the boss. So there's two ways you can fight Kogera, but overall, I think it's a really enjoyable dungeon. I do really have fun whenever I do play to the Kingdom, when I do replay the game every so often, and just playing through the Wind Temple. So yeah. So that's been my top 5 favourite Legend of Zelda dungeons. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.